materialistic life, when you deal everything in the in the name of profit and loss, there comes this environmental degradation. Once now they now what I don't know whether what is happening around is good or not, because especially in my district, I know that whatever projects that is to fund, whatever funds are coming to our district is from other countries like Japan funding, American funding. My question is, environment is to be we have to protect the environment throughout the world. It is not necessary that only the environment in the Western Ghats have to be protected. But what is happening is a particular space like Western Ghats. Now Western Ghats is under the purview of everyone. A lot of funds are being flowing in. And but what happened once, the same place, all the we have heard stories again from our grandparents. All the trees are being cut off, and the teak plantations, acacia plantations, eucalyptus plantations were done once. Then they were not bothered about the sustainable living. Now actually the water level in our district is going down because of this monoculture, because of this rubber plantation. So but once this imperialistic forces, what they did was, they cut down all these trees, all jackfruit, mango, and they planted the teak trees so that they would get wood for their households. That is how sure capitalistic forces have of the environment. Certain things we have to be a bit spiritual, look into things only from a materialistic point of view, from the profit and loss. Like this is we live in a circle where we and flora and fauna live together, take the same oxygen, give out the same carbon dioxide, and where the same carbon dioxide is being reprocessed. So we live together. Each and every component in this nature is important, and we have to be aware of that. We have to be careful of that. We should keep that in mind.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Shavita, for your excellent lecture. I think all of us enjoyed your lecture. This is from importance of secret groups and life form of Western Ghats to imperialism. Describe a tree as equal to 10 suns and 100 reservoirs, 1,000 ponds, and 10,000 wells. So with the plant scientists, maximum of the audience are plant scientists, but I can say that though she is not a plant scientist, but she feels the pain of plants, pain of nature more than us. So thanks, madam. Excellent lecture. Thank you. So our next lecture, this is next speaker is Sri Milan Kanti Mondal. Mr. Mondal has done Masters in Zoology from Calcutta University and in Forestry from FRI Deemed University, Dehradun. He joined for service in 1995. He worked in various divisions like Boikuntapur, Boxer Tiger Reserve, Kuzbihar, Jaldapada in North Bengal, and Bishnupur, Kharagpur, and Durgapur in South Bengal. He also worked as divisional manager South under West Bengal Forest Development Corporation Limited.
ये गेट खोल दो और वो खोल.
He looked after the ecotourism aspect in the districts of Purulia, Bankura, Paschim Medinipur, and Purbo Medinipur. He also worked as DFO, law dealing with legal aspect of the entire state regarding forestry matters. Photography is his passion, and traveling and music are his hobby. He is presently working as a DFO, South 24 Parganas, and looking after the buffer areas of Indian Sundarban. The talk of Mr. Mangroves is impact on indigenous people, society, and biosphere. But due to sudden official engagement, Mr. Mondol is unable to deliver his lecture. But he has shared his presentation. I request Dr. Doipan Sinha to share the PPT on behalf of Mr. Mondol.
Thank you, Dr. Nirmalendu Das. Sir, am I audible to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, just I'm trying to, because my computer is also doing some problem. I'm trying to share my screen and hopefully the presentation as well. Since Mr. Mandal on a last note sent some regret note to me expressing his inability to join the event. So I have to do the needful to share the screen, the presentation on his behalf, and just a brief statement about the presentation, and hope I would be able to do some justice to the presentation. He's a wonderful person. He is kind enough to share the presentation with us. The presentation is the presentation viewable?
Sir, not yet.
Not yet. Oh my God. But I am presenting from here. If Mr. Himanshu can kindly guide me up in this regard.
Yeah, it is loading now. It is loading now. Now we can see your screen.
Can you see my screen right now?
Yeah, we can see
Yes, Abhiyan.
now we can presentation mode.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is visible.
Is visible. Thank you so much. So first of all, I would like to say that this is not my presentation, neither my brainchild. It is the presentation of Mr. Milan Kanti Mondal, who is WBFS and Divisional Forest Officer of South Chobis Pargana. He is somewhat engaged in some official duties. That's why he couldn't join us. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
You are not able.
Hello, sir. Kindly notification panel. So as slide will be fully visible.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Sir, we
Sir,
can zoom
there,
it, sir.
kindly hide the notification panel.
Dr. Dwalpayan, there is an option of hide notification. You see a blue button. Just next to that blue button, there is hide option. Yeah, that should.
Yeah, is it
Yes, sir.
now? It's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, sir.
It's okay, sir.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just quickly going through his slides, and just I will try to explain what he wanted to say. Hopefully, I would be in parity with his explanation. So his title says mangroves is its impact on indigenous people, society, and biosphere by Mr. M.K. Mondal, WVFS Divisional Forest Officer. Now the first slide he stated the present status of Sundarban. As we know that Sundarban is one of the biggest and possibly the biggest mangrove vegetation, and it covers an area of 10,200 square kilometer and is spread over Bangladesh and India. So Sundarban features two ecoregions, Sundarban freshwater swamp forest and the Sundarban mangrove. So there are two ecological regions, one is the freshwater and second one is the mangrove. I go to the next slide, and here in the next slide there is he has stated about the area of the Sundarbans. So what I can see, the Sundarban is divided into a biosphere reserve, then Sundarban tiger reserve, critical tiger habitat, and Sundarban National Park and the Sajnekhali Wildlife Sanctuary. So nearly 40% of the reserve forest area has been brought under protected area network, and the area of the Sundarban National Park happens to be about 1330 square kilometer. Then Sajnekhali is 362, and so on. So this area was recognized by the UNESCO as a World Heritage Site in 1987, and now it is renamed as the World Heritage Property. So introduction to mangroves. So as everybody knows that mangroves, they are unique salt tolerant species and plants. They grow at the juncture of the lands and sea, and they comprise approximately of 70 species, including a number of genera, around 40. And it's a highly productive ecosystem, and it houses a lot of marine animals and also some epiphytic plants and even the microbes. And and according to FAO, about one third of the world's mangrove is found in Asia. So Asia houses most of the mangroves, followed by Africa and then Central America. Then mangroves grows based in low wave energy. So the intertidal region where the wave action is comparatively low, the mangroves happen to develop better in those areas. So they prefer calm region where they prefer a comparatively calm region where the tidal activity is low. So the mangroves can be classified into two groups based on their morphological and physiological characterization. So these two groups are very common, and as we know, that is the morphological mangroves and the physiological mangroves. Okay. Am I visible? Are my slides visible? Hello.
Yeah.
Hello. Are my
Yes, sir.
slides?
Your slides are visible and you are audible too.
Okay, thank you, thank you. So mangroves are of a lot of concern due to a lot of declining factors. So what are the declining factors in the Sundarban area? So because of their sustainable livelihood, the people of Sundarban happens to resort to the shrimp culture. That is the culture of this prawn type of an associated animals, or rather water animals. And then forest use, they have been degrading the forest for their maybe due to their livelihood or for fuel purpose. And then since it's largely a water body or an intertidal region, they're resorting to fish aquaculture, then diversion of freshwater and land reclamation. So these all these activities are gradually resulting in degradation of the mangrove ecosystem, and the mangrove ecosystem is gradually shrinking day by day in Sundarban areas, and major part is due to the anthropogenic activities. So mangrove diversity in Sundarban includes the 40 family and 60 genera, and true mangrove species includes 26, and mangrove associates 29. And important mangroves are Sundari, the name from which the Sundarban came, the Heritiera, and Avicennia marina, alba, and the genus of Avicennia, Exocaria, then Goran, what we call a very common plant in the southern West Chobis Pargana, the Seriops, then Gorgon. There is Rhizophora species, then Bruguera, there's Bruguera, Phoenix, and Xylocarpus, and some others. So these are some of the floral observation by Mr. Mondal, and he happens to be a wonderful photographer. His photography is his passion. So these are some of the pictures of the plants of vegetation of Sundarbans. This Acanthus ilicifolius is of special interest because its habitat is also there in Paschim Medinipur and also in Purva Medinipur, in the Tamluk region or the region of Digha. Yeah, and it goes very extensively in southern West Bengal. These are some of the plants: Ipomia, then Sesavium, Heliotropium. Then he has shown the flowers of Sundari, Bruguera, and Suida. So these are the habitats of the general habit of a mangrove plant. And as you can see, there are some new metaphors popping out of the muddy soil, and there are the rooting, very unique rooting system, and that is observed.
Huh?
So faunal composition, since he roams a lot in the Sundarban areas, he has also documented a lot of faunal composition: rhinoceros, then water buffaloes, fun deer, hog deer, and the crocodile. Crocodile is pretty common, and the most important is the Royal Bengal tiger. Faunal composition, the globally endangered, there are a lot of species that have been endangered. That is the estuarine crocodile, the water monitor lizard. They have been endangered, and others including the Batago terrapin, olive ridley. The fishing cats are also endangered, and there has been a lot of species that has been recorded and identified also. The 45 species of crabs, including 2 edible ones. So these are the faunal diversity, all have been captured by Mr. Mondal during his field trips. The wonderful pictures. And livelihood includes nursery grounds for fishing and strips. As I earlier mentioned, that mangrove prop roots and new metaphors are hiding places of fish, and so the people catch a fish. The aquaculture are also very common. And majority of people living near the mangrove forest derive the principle of income from fishing. So fishing is a very major activity, and the most financial benefit the people get is from the fishing. So fishing is a very major activity, and the most financial benefit the people get is from the fishing. So fishing is a very major activity, and the most financial benefit the people get is from the fishing. So fishing is a very major activity, and the most financial benefit the people get is from the fishing. So fishing is a very major activity, and the most financial benefit the people get is from the fishing. Okay, so there are other also they also resort to collection of honey, and this is a very attractive product of the Sundarban, the honey of the Sundarban forest. So okay, and then the mangroves also have some important ecological benefits, including carbon sink and sequestration. Okay, so initiative for alternative income and generation through aquaculture. Maybe he would have made these slides more understandable. So there are some cooperatives that has been brought up by the range offices of Matla, Raidegi, and Ramgonga, and there are some beneficiaries, and with respect to the production of honey. And these are the honey production pictures. You can see there are artificial beehives, and this the honeybees and the local people over there. So what he wanted to show, the mangroves acts as a reservoir of carbon. So it's very important that the mangroves should be preserved, and it is acting as a carbon sink. And mangrove also helps in climatic change mitigation by reduction of carbon from atmosphere at a very impressive rate. So it's a carbon sink, and its preservation should be of immediate priority. So the role of mangroves in forest disaster management, as we all saw them a few months back, that Amphan ravaged the southern part of West Bengal, but somehow its harsh impact was to some extent minimized by this presence of Sundarban. And also mangroves reduce the velocity of waves and the tidal impact, thereby minimizing the loss of what I should say, the soil or the coastal region. So basically, the mangroves act as a shield from the harsh waves of the Bay of Bengal. So he has also captured some of the destructive effects of Amphan and Kalash. So these are the very harsh pictures what a natural calamity can do. But thanks to these mangroves, that a lot of virulence or virility have been reduced to a large extent. And management constraint to conserve mangroves, because the proximity of Kolkata due to major is a very negative impact from the respect of, because the smuggling of wildlife and mushrooming of large number of tourist boats. So the anthropogenic activities are gradually increasing, and since the international border is porous, there is a good black market or smuggling of honeys and other resources of Sundarbans. Okay, so these are the other negative management of constraint to conserve mangroves, the upstream river pollution, global warming, cyclonic surges and storm. So the Sundarban is gradually degrading largely due to anthropogenic activities, and these anthropogenic activities are having a number of sub-factors. So it's very important for us to conserve this fragile ecosystem in order to protect us from further damage. And with this, I think I have somehow done justice to his presentation. I personally thank Mr. Mondal to be kind enough to share this presentation with us. And I feel lucky that I had just shared it with the platform of the audience. Thank you so much. And here comes the end of the presentation. Over to Dr. Nirmalendu Das.
Thank you, Dr. Daipan Sinha. On behalf of Mr. Milan Kanti Mondal, you have presented his PPT presentation, and the slides are very good, and I think everybody can understand the matter of Mr. Mondal. So this is the importance of mangrove, and we know that mangroves are degrading by anthropogenic activity. These mangroves are the source of local people for fishing, aquaculture, their collection of honey, and for other purposes they are dependent on these mangroves. So we have to concern about the conservation of mangroves, and we know that already the impact of Amphan, which he had mentioned, that the impact of Amphan can be minimized due to the mangroves, and also the uh, tidal effect can be regulated or minimized by these mangroves. So mangroves are very much important in the life of the local people also, and as a whole to the community. So uh, I just go to next speaker. Our next speaker is Dr. Arun Kumar Maurya. Dr. Arun Kumar Maurya is the assistant professor in botany with specialization in plant physiology and biochemistry. He also obtained LLB and LLM degrees from Delhi University and postgraduate diploma in IPR and environmental law. He scored among the top 20% student in CSN UGC NET exam in 2002. He is presently serving in Department of Botany, uh, Multanimal Modi College under CCS University, Modinagar, UP. He has also served in Hangsharaj College, SDTB Khalsa College, and Doyal Singh College, all under Delhi University in ad hoc basis. He has published 2 research articles, 3 books, 5 articles, 4 chapters, and 4 e-contents. Dr. Maurya has a long technical uh, experiences. He developed study material as subject expert of biology for class 11 and 12 of International Curriculum CBSE 1 of CEAC New Delhi. He was a subject expert for preparation and update of botany dictionary by Commission for Scientific and Technical Terminology, Government of India. He developed e-content for botany subject in Department of Higher Education, MHRD, Government of India project. National Mission on Education through Information and Communication Technology in association with Delhi University. So today his today's topic is nitric oxide, molecule regulating diverse functions in plants. So I request Dr. Maurya to deliver his lecture. Dr. Maurya, please.
Thank you, sir. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir. Audible, sir.
Yes.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Government General Degree College, MEDINIPUR, PASCHIM, MOHANPUR, PASCHIM MEDINIPUR, West Bengal, for giving me opportunity, and Dr. Deepan Sinha, organizing secretary of this webinar, and all members of the college, principal, head of the department, for this opportunity. The topic of the webinar is basically the impact of indigenous people, society, and biosphere, the world of plants. So here the topic is mostly talking about the effect visible in the form of indigenous people, society, and biosphere. My topic is nitric oxide, which is related with plant physiology and biochemistry, and especially the molecule nitric oxide, which is one of the chemical molecule working inside the plant and showing its effect, which is in turn visible on society, biosphere, and indigenous effect. Because if plant is working fine, having no disease, we get the food material, we get the fiber, we get the fodder, all the things which we require, as well as other component of ecosystem required. So I think I'll be inside the plant dealing with what is happening to make plant healthy, competitive, and good, so that they can yield something which can uh, give something to the biosphere, nature related to that. I'm going to present my PPT. Is it visible?
It is loading now. Yeah, now we can see your screen.
Thank you, sir. So, topic of the lecture is nitric oxide molecules regulating diverse function in plants. Now, nitric oxide is basically a gaseous molecule which was first discovered as a colorless toxic gas by Joseph Priestley way back in 1972, and he named it nitrous air. Since then, it was considered as a gaseous molecule, chemical, and air pollutant.
Sorry to
And
interrupt, doctor.
sure,
Actually, it shows that you are presenting, but we cannot see the PPT. Could you please try stop sharing and then share again?
Maybe try sharing the entire screen.
now is it visible?
Yes,
Now
sir.
clear.
Visible, sir. Visible.
Yes,
Visible, sir.
yes, we can.
Sir.
Yeah, now it is visible.
So, way back in 1917, this molecule came into notice in our scientific community, and after a long time, it remained as a pollutant chemical
Coordinate
and
कर दो.
continued till 1987. During 1980s, some research group
बस तुम खाओ.
started working,
और नहीं बाद
and they
में
found that
बाद में.
nitric
Hello,
oxide.
hello,
Yes, sir.
hello. Kindly start from the first slide and make these full screen.
Is it okay?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
Kindly start from the first slide.
Sure. So, during 1980, this molecule came into research, which led to reflection that this molecule has role in human physiology and a part of body. And it was established around 1987 that this molecule has regulatory role in blood pressure, relieving heart condition, and many other uh, roles which were getting regulated by this molecule. This nitric oxide was came into discussion when there was a medicine known as Viagra, which was came into light, because that medicine led to generation of this nitric oxide in our body that leads to regulating blood pressure, relieving heart condition, and various other medication purposes. So this research was working on human being or animals. And later on in 1992, the Science magazine chose this molecule as a molecule of year. And consequently, when it came into so much of light and utility, the Nobel Prize was given to three scientists, Iganero, Furchgott, and Fried Morat. So by this work, this molecule become hot spot. After that, because when something comes in animal, we start searching in plants also. So plant biologists also started looking this molecule into the plants and their roles. The first landmark notice, which was taken by Klepper in 1979 in soybean plant. In 1975, in soybean plant, he first observed, and his report is there, but nothing much was discussed. Later on, there was a scientist group called Turner in 1998. He was one of the landmark publication in PNAs side as a signaling molecule in plant defense. So these two papers become very popular, and that led to increase in research in plant biology. Now we consider this, though many have not yet accepted, but it has been discussion that this molecule act as a phyto, phytohormone and that function as gaseous endogenous plant growth regulator. As time will progress, I hope this molecule gets incorporated. Before moving to other area, let's have a brief overlook that where the report of nitric oxide production is seen. As far as till now, we can see the nitric oxide generation has been reported in bacteria, slime molds, algae, fungi, and higher plants. The names are given on slide. So by this, if we include animals, we can say that nitric oxide production and their activity have been reported in various kingdoms. And definitely when there is a production, it is doing certain job. So why this molecule is so
मम्मी का
important?
फ़ोन ले बबी
It is because
चेक करना बोलना
it
पापा
is
चेक
a
करेगा
diatomic
कैसा
small molecule,
फ़ोन
gaseous in nature, inorganic, and because of this, it has property that makes them useful as a signaling molecule. Because it is very small, so it is having some highly reactive nature. As we discussed that this molecule has been already reported in vertebrates, in animals as a biological messenger, and because nitric oxide is simply nitrogen and one molecule of oxide, it's a small, so if it is small, it can diffuse easily across membrane and makes it very suitable molecule for signaling, and it can move through blood vessels, cell membrane, and that helps in communication signaling. The other property of this molecule is high diffusivity. It has 4.8 to 10 to the power 5 centimeter square per second in H2O, exhibiting its hydrophobic property. And this property, these two properties, diffusivity as well as hydrophobic property, makes it suitable to freely move across the lipid phase of membrane. So because it has a small diffusivity, diatomic, inorganic,
6:30
these
अभी
properties
टाइम है थोड़ा
make it a very
1.5
small
hours
molecule and easy to communicate, act as a signaling molecule. Another important factor which is related with it is lifespan. The lifespan of this molecule has been recorded is less than 6 seconds. So making it very reactive. It sends the message and gets vanish. Before entering into the plant system, we can see just outlook of this. Nitric oxide is produced by an enzyme, well established enzyme known as nitric oxide synthase. This enzyme is a homodimer. It is found in animals in three forms: NNOS, INOS, and ENOS. N means neuronal NOS. So it has three isoforms found at different part of body: neuronal NOS, inducible NOS, and epithelial NOS. These three NOS work at different places for different responses. but they have common substrate, that is arginine. So whenever there is a need to produce nitric oxide, arginine is consumed along with two other co-substrate. One is NADPH and oxygen. So these substrate are mixed in this enzyme and they produces nitric oxide and citrulline as a product. So this nitric oxide is a small molecule, moves freely where it is required, it performs its action and gets vanished. Apart from this, the enzyme contains 3-4 important things. One is FAD, FMN as a carrier, and heme and biopterin as a catalytic machinery. So this nitric oxide enzyme has been well established in animal system, and it has been proven, purified, isolated. So we know all the structure of this enzyme with its 3 isoforms. Their functions are well laid down and well established. So this characterization of enzyme led to the evocation of thought and prompted that why not to search this enzyme into the plant system. But very important to note that no such enzyme has been isolated in plant system till now in plants. So that is a challenge. But it is proven that nitric oxide is produced in plants by several methods which can detect the nitric oxide. If we see how plants synthesize nitric oxide, we can divide several enzymes are working in plants to produce nitric oxide. One which we have discussed, nitric oxide synthase. For that, we have just given the putative nitric oxide synthase, and several reports have come that plant have animal-like nitric oxide synthase, but till now they have not been able to isolate. How they have reported? They have reported by using the immunoreactivity experiments. So they made the immunoglobulins which can trap animal-like NOS. Similar experiment has been conducted in plants, so they can also trap the animal-like nitric oxide synthase in plants. But till now, no group have reported that animal-like nitric oxide synthase has been purified. So it is still area of research. The second one report, which has been reported by Stoher, he has reported in tobacco root membrane that there is an enzyme, plasma membrane bound nitrite nitric oxide reductase. It is also able to produce nitric oxide. There are various non-enzymatic reactions where nitrogen oxides have been converted into nitric oxide, nitrate at acidic or lower pH gets converted into nitric oxide. So in plants, non-enzymatic methods also produces nitric oxide. Apart from these three, a well-established enzyme system known as nitrate reductase, which is a part of nitrogen metabolism. Many report has come that nitrate reductase is able to produce nitric oxide apart from its doing natural job. It has been reported in cucumber, sunflower, spinach, maize, Arabidopsis, as well as in some algae, Chlamydomonas. So this enzyme has also been an important candidate to produce nitric oxide in plants. Recently, 3 more reports have come. One is xanthine oxidoreductase, peroxidase, cytochrome P450 enzyme, catalase, and polyamine oxidase. These 3 candidates have also been proposed and various reports have come that they generate enzymes along with non-enzymatic system to generate nitric oxide. So what I have inferred that because animals are mobile, they can take shelter, they can protect themselves. Plants are static. So that is why to keep themselves plastic in nature, flexible in nature, they have evolved various pathway to produce nitric oxide. Whenever one is not working, other can be started. So that gives them more strength for production of nitric oxide and consequently the responses. This is one of the research which our group has carried out. During PhD, I did my PhD under the supervision of Professor Renu Deswal. She is in Department of Botany, Delhi University. Uh, so in that group, we have published a paper where we chose the plant Brassica gensea, and we tried to experiment that whether such nitric oxide synthase like activity exists or not. Prior to using this, we used the plant Kalanchu, but in Kalanchu we could not get. So after that we switched plant Brassica gensea, and in that we have published a paper in Plant Physiology and Biochemistry in 2012 way back. We reported that there is an activity which shows the formation of nitric oxide, and where we use two methods: nitric oxide measurement by hemoglobin assay and citrulline assay. In hemoglobin assay, we use the hemoglobin oxide, and hemoglobin oxide got converted into methemoglobin by binding of nitric oxide. So we measured this formation of methemoglobin by the spectrophotometric method. In this, we use the substrate arginine. Another was the citrulline assay. In this, arginine, radio labeled arginine was used, and the conversion of arginine was seen as a citrulline. So by these two methods, we found that there is a formation of nitric oxide by consumption of arginine. We have tried to isolate it, but when we finished our work, I was working as ad hoc for a long time, so I didn't get any lab, and so that work was pending. Now I am planning, and my lab is getting established, so I'll continue this work for purification and isolation. So in this, we found that the enzyme exists and it is activated by some kinases. So whenever we treat the plant with kinases, the activity got enhanced. Whenever we do not treat, the activity remains minimal or absent. Apart from this treatment, we also saw whenever you give different type of stress, such as cold stress, heat stress, salt stress. So we gave various type of stress. Out of various type of stress, it was only the heat stress which did not give much response, except that all kind of stress gave response, that whenever you give stress, nitric oxide formation takes place. So definitely that led to conclusion that the production of nitric oxide is seen or occurs in plant. So we will do the extension of this work in coming years. Apart from this work, we can divide the synthesis of nitric oxide in plants as we discussed in our previous slides. The synthesis can be divided into two parts, enzymatic as well as non-enzymatic. And apart from that, the interesting is here, the enzymatic pathway has been subdivided into two categories: reductive pathway and oxidative pathway. In case of oxidative pathway, we see the putative nitric oxide synthase like enzyme. We keep that because here arginine is getting oxidized and producing the nitric oxide. So plant have alternative also as a reductive pathway where nitrate reductase, nitrite, nitric oxide reductase, and xanthine oxidoreductase. These three group of enzyme are basically reverse to the oxidative method and they produce nitric oxide in the reductive manner. So as we already discussed that, as I said, the plants have flexibility in their mechanism. That is why they have probably evolved both mechanism in the plant system. As we can see in animals, animals have one enzyme but three isoforms: neuronal NOS, inducible NOS, and epithelial NOS. So plants have isoform variability, and plant the animals have isoform variability. The plants have the mechanisms are different. So these are two different ways can be seen that has been evolved in two different type of kingdoms. Similarly, the same slide, but the difference is here nitric oxide synthesizing enzymes have been kept in two categories: analogous enzyme as well as homologous mammalian type of enzyme, which is a putative NOS like enzyme, and rest are analogous type of enzyme, and they are responsible for cellular and subcellular apoplastic nitric oxide generation. So those were the talk related to the biosynthesis. Now, once the nitric oxide is formed, what it does, as we can see, nitric oxide is generated by oxidative by NOS, by reductive NR, and similar like of enzyme. They make nitric oxide, and this nitric oxide reacts with their targets. The targets are, you can see, free radicals, reactive oxygen species like O2. Then we have targets in the proteins, we have targets in the fatty acids. So this nitric oxide at the one hand reacts with the reactive oxygen species and goes for further action, which can be seen as it goes to this way, and here it makes the peroxynitrate ONOO, and this peroxynitrate gets linked with protein, and protein gets nitrated, and that nitrated protein leads to either generation of stress or it goes to the uh, transcription machinery where the genes related to that are induced. So ultimately, nitric oxide acting as a signaling molecule interacting with various intermediary molecules like protein, like reactive oxygen species, and leading to the induction of genes responsible for particular response. Say, for example, cell death, induction of hypersensitive response, induction of systematic acquired resistance, or any other physiological activity which we will discuss in the next slide. Now, as here we can see, as we discussed in the previous slide, nitric oxide has a central role which interacts with reactive oxygen species. And these reactive oxygen species are produced by various factors. These factors may be abiotic factor, biotic factor. Here in abiotic, we see drought, salt stress, heat stress, light, pollutant, cold, wounding. These are abiotic stress. In case of biotic, we see pathogen and herbivory. These are biotic stress. So what they do, they basically induce the production of reactive oxygen species, and these reactive oxygen species reacts with nitric oxide. When they react with nitric oxide, they make the peroxynitrate, and these peroxynitrate targets to further downstream that leads to signaling mechanism. And as we can see here, nitric oxide leads to activation of gene expression of various antioxidant enzymes. So now we can link that the nitric oxide has role in the survival of the plant. When there is a stress, nitric oxide is produced and it counteracts with the reactive oxygen species, and at the one hand act as a signaling molecule for further downstream response, as well as it starts inducing various antioxidant enzymes that minimize the damage. So it has a role as a savior. So suppose if there is a pathogen attacks, it causes the generation of reactive oxygen species that leads to synthesis of various antioxidant enzymes and chemicals that blocks the pathway for further action of the pathogen. So by this way, we see that nitric oxide plays a role in the survival of plants. The role of nitric oxide or their function has been listed in this slide. There are many responses which each, if we go for discussion of one, I think it will take a lot of time. So that is why I have listed it. We can see nitric oxide has role in seed germination, root growth, photosynthesis, chlorophyll biosynthesis, chloroplast development, pigment like anthocyanin and beta-cyanin, respiratory metabolism, stomata opening, iron homeostasis, senescence, PCD, PCD programmed cell death, cell cycle, defense response, and so on. So now here we can see that nitric oxide has a wider influence regulating various activity, various role in the plant system. And the key of this regulation is basically linked with nitric oxide acting as a signaling molecule and inducing various genes which are related with survival of the organism, such as antioxidant gene, and the genes for production of such as pigments, anthocyanin, beta-cyanin, and various response like opening and closing of stomata. Suppose if any pathogen is going to enter into the through the stomata, if there is a response, the plant is resistant, it will induce the response that will close the stomata. So as we can see that it has wide array of action in the plant. The nitric oxide has gained currency in the last 20 years, and scientists are working how to chalk out which enzyme is mostly producing or responsible for nitric oxide generation. So similarly, the next slide also says the nitric oxide on plant growth and development. It helps in the increasing shoot biomass. It also help in uh, foliage. Oxide is working in small doses. When there is a high amount of nitric oxide is generated, the same nitric oxide starts acting as a destructive molecule. So this dual role, this nitric oxide is producing a dual role. In small doses, it is acting as a savior. In the large dose, it starts acting as a destructor. But one thing is also very important to understand that suppose if the pathogen is attacking on leaf and nitric oxide is produced, and that nitric oxide leads to induction of reaction, and that reaction leads to formation of lesion necrosis wherever the pathogen has acted, and by losing one leaf, two leaf, we can save the entire plant. So this nitric oxide is basically somehow helping in the survival of the plant. Similarly, it's an extension of their function. Nitric oxide on photosynthesis and chlorophyll content, the generation of nitric RNS, reactive nitrogen species such as peroxynitrate. It leads to impairment of photosynthetic machinery, inhibiting chloroplast electron transport, and that leads to the switching off of the function of that particular region or entire organ. So this can be ensured for well development of plant. Now, to know the effect of this nitric oxide, we have certain chemicals such as SNP. These SNPs are the molecules that produces nitric oxide. So we can produce nitric oxide by giving as a donor, SNP as a donor, and we can see the effect whether it's a natural or it has been able to produce by supplying artificially. So if we give the inhibitor of nitric oxide producing enzymes and we supply the donors, we can see the same effect occurring in the plant system. This slide talks about the biotic stress, where nitric oxide is acting as a signaling molecule that was getting generated by infection of pathogen as a biotic stress. So pathogen can be fungi, bacteria, phytophthora, and pseudomonas, and these pathogen attack leads to generation of reactive oxygen species. And as the next slide says, nitric oxide, when there is a nitric oxide production, it induces kinase or CADPR, cyclic adenosine dinucleotide ribose, leads to calcium increase, and this calcium increase leads to induction of more chemicals, that is salicylic acid, and finally there is a production of PR protein. PR proteins are basically pathogenesis related proteins that defend plant against their pathogens. Along with this mechanism, there is also induction of certain genes which are basically going to produce chemicals harmful for pathogens. So there are two genes, PAL and CHS. PAL is phenylalanine lyase and CHS is chalcone synthase. So these two genes produces phenylalanine, that is lethal for the pathogen. And similarly, the ipomyelin gene, these are genes which produces phytoalexins. Phytoalexins are also going to counter the pathogen attack. So ultimately, we see that these nitric oxide, by involving several intermediary signaling molecules, ultimately induces chemicals, gene products that helps in induction of hypersensitive response, and that causes the necrosis, lesions, and the pathogen is restricted at that particular level. If the plant is resistant, it will ultimately induce the systemic acquired resistance and the entire plant is safe. So now, because the area is too wide, I have tried to summarize my talk in my assigned time. Currently, we have certain challenge and associated opportunity with this nitric oxide research. There are three challenges which I have tried to delineate. One is many animal-like NOS is reported in plant, like NOS-like enzyme is present in plant system, but no one is able to purify it. So this is a challenge. And second challenge is there are multiple enzyme system, as we have discussed, reductive method, oxidative method. They are generating nitric oxide. So from which one we are getting nitric oxide at particular action, we have to ascertain it very carefully. The third challenge is gaseous nature. The molecule is very small, gaseous in nature, and have a short life. That makes also challenging for scientific research. And fourth challenge is there are various type of mechanism of NOS generation, oxidative, reductive, and non-enzymatic, that creates confusion. Like for when there is a salt stress, when there is a biotic stress, which mechanism or which mechanisms are going to produce nitric oxide, that creates confusion. So these are the challenges which need to be sorted out. And what are the opportunity exist in this research? We can see that there is a dichotomy in thought on existence of plant nitric oxide. One group, which is a great group working led by the Dugner et al., they say that there is no really needed for or hunt for plant nitric oxide is futile. We have to forget it and we have to go for looking whatever is existing. But there are certain groups which have given result where they have said that nitric oxide synthase like enzyme existing, and they have produced certain paper. One was by Messner in 2009. They produce and this in polycephalum, Physarum polycephalum. It's a slime mold by saying by doing a overexpression experiment, and they got the nitric oxide synthase like activity. And one result was in O tauri. This is Ostriococcus tauri. It's a algae. They have also done the same thing. And third one, we have also reported that biochemical evidences in Brassica gensea, that existence of similar enzyme seen in Brassica gensea. So there is also a possibility of existence of nitric oxide synthase like enzyme apart from other enzymes. And third is animal like NOS enzyme is still not reported, but existence of nitric oxide is confirmed. So if we work, we have an opportunity to discover this enzyme. So we should be hopeful and keep working on that. That is why I've chosen one quote of Charles Darwin from The Descent of Man. We are not here concerned with the hope or fears, only with the truth as far as our reason permits us to discover it. So with this, I would like to end my talk. Thank you for giving me opportunity.
Thank you, Dr. Moria, for your lecture. Is there any question from audience? So I think there is no question. But I have a question, a little question. How the regulation of nitric oxide? Okay.
Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, kindly.
How nitric oxide production is regulated in plant system?
Sir, nitric oxide, because as we have seen that there are various enzymes present in plants, when there is a need of synthesis of nitric oxide, the signals are received from outside as a message stimuli, then there is an increase in nitric oxide production. As we can see that nitrogen is very scarce resource, because nitrogen input is very costly affair for plants. So plants try to produce nitric oxide when there is a need, and when there is a no need, we have observed in Brassica gensea that when we give stress, we find high amount of nitric oxide generation, but in a normal condition there was least amount of nitric oxide synthesis. So I think it's a inbuilt mechanism that works when there is a need, generation of nitric oxide occur.
But I think there are some basal level of nitric oxide production in plants, because it has
Yes,
several activities like from seed germination to pigment synthesis to stomata opening and nodule formation, etc. etc. So it has several roles.
yes,
So there must some basal level nitric oxide production.
yes, definitely. Because like if I take the example of stomatal opening, stomata
Yeah.
are regulated by various factors. Say for example, light, blue light,
Yeah.
other lights, and the concentration of carbon dioxide. So I think when the for opening, various cues are required, and that is decided by the plant, which one to take for regular function and which one to take for when there is a need to start various signaling responses.
Okay. So thank you, Dr. Maurya, for your nice presentation. I think all of us enriched with your lecture. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So our next speaker is Dr. Suchetana Mukherjee. She completed PhD in botany in 2014 from University of Kalyani, West Bengal. Her PhD work was on induced mutagenesis in Nigella sativa with special emphasis to genetic male sterility. Her field of interest are genetics, cytology, plant breeding, recent trends of sustainable agriculture, therapeutic options of COVID-19 with special emphasis to medicinal plants and Ayurveda. She is currently working as an assistant professor in Sripot Singh College, Jiaganj, Murshidabad, West Bengal, which is affiliated to the University of Kalyani. Formerly, she has served as head of the same department. Now, she is a member of UG Board of Studies in Botany, University of Kalyani. Dr. Mukherjee has a number of publications in national and international report. Some of the journals are Cytologia, Journal of Plant Development Sciences, International Research Journal of Pharmacy, International Journal of Research in Ayurveda Pharmacy, Asian Journal of Experimental Biological Science, Medicinal and Aromatic Plant Sciences and Biotechnology, etc. So now I request Dr. Mukherjee to deliver a lecture which is entitled Medicinal Plants, Their Importance, Scope and Uses. Dr. Mukherjee, please.
Thank you, sir, for this nice introduction. Very good evening to everybody present here. I hope I'm audible to everybody.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank the Mohanpur College, Paschim MEDINIPUR, Dr. Daipan Sinha, and all the members of this seminar, organizing body of this seminar, for giving me this opportunity to share this platform with other eminent speakers. So I'm really thankful to them. Today, my topic, as sir has already told you, is on medicinal plants. This is not basically my research area, but I find it very interesting. So with my limited knowledge, I would like to share my knowledge with the people present here, because all of them are eminent educationalists over here. So I would just like to share my knowledge with them. So before going to that, I would like to present my slide. I would request Dr. Arun Kumar, sir, can you just stop your presentation so that I can present mine?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
I hope my slides are visible.
Yes.
Okay.
Kindly hide notification panel. Okay.
So as I already said, like my topic is medicinal plants, their importance, uses and scope. This is a very interesting, rather a common topic which all botanists we are interested in, and we have a basic knowledge in medicinal plants. As I have earlier said, like I would like to share my limited knowledge with everybody present here. uh, uh, like our country is commonly called the botanical garden of the world, owing to its wealth of herbal medicines. India, with its great topographic and climatic diversity, has a very rich and diverse flora and fauna. India is one of the richest countries in the world in terms of biodiversity. It has 15 agroclimatic zones, and out of around about 17,000 to 18,000 species of flowering plants, more than 7,000 are estimated to have medicinal usage in folk and documented systems of medicine like Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, homeopathy, etc. Medicinal plants are not only a major resource base for the traditional medicine and herbal industry, but also provide livelihood and healthy security to a large segment of Indian population. Approximately like 1100 species of medicinal plants are estimated to be in trade, of which 242 species have annual consumption levels in excess of 100 metric tons per year. This actually we can understand like from its high consumption level that these are very important to common people, and so we are trying to utilize and explore them more and more. Now, the domestic demand, as if we go statistically, we'll find that the domestic demand of this medicinal plants, like when it was estimated in 2014 and 15, it was around 2 lakhs metric tons per year. And the export demand was around 1,35,000 metric tons during 2014-15. And the total consumption of herbal raw drug in the country for the year 2014-15 has been estimated around 5 lakhs metric ton, and corresponding trade value about 5,500 crore. So what we can see is, apart from its medicinal uses, it also has a very good economic importance in the country. So in order to promote medicinal plant sector, the government of India has set up National Medicinal Plant Board in 24th November 2000. Currently, this board is located in the Ministry of Ayush. The primary mandate of this board, that is the National Medical Plant Board, is to develop an appropriate mechanism for coordination between the different departments in India and implement support programs, as well as conserve, cultivate, trade, export of medicinal plants, both in the central as well as in the state level. Now, according to estimate of WHO, 2007, about 80% of population in the developing countries of the world rely chiefly on the traditional, alternative and complementary medicine systems for healthcare, where plant and its products from the major part of natural resources. Now, coming to the history of the medicinal plant, we find that these were mentioned right from the prehistoric period to the modern ones. In the prehistoric periods, plants were the plants which we are now using as culinary herbs and spices. They have been used as medicine. Most of the cases, though not effectively, but they were, however, used. Now, angiosperms were the original source of most of the plant medicine. Human settlements were also found associated with the different herbal medicines, such as nettle or dandelion or chickweed. Not only humans, even animals were also seen associated to the medicinal plants. Plant samples from prehistoric burial sites, that is some of the evidences from the Paleolithic people, has shown that they had the knowledge of herbal medicine. For instance, like I can give an example, like from the Neanderthal burial site, that is the Shanidar cave. It is in northern Iraq. about pollen grains from 8 plant species were obtained in large amounts. 7 of these we are using nowadays as herbal medicines. Now, coming to the ancient period, around 60 AD, Greek physician Pedanius Dioscorides, working on the Roman army, he documented over 1,000 recipes of medicines in his book De Materia Medica, and we are aware of this book, and this is an authoritative reference till date. Now, coming to the Indian literature, we see that medicinal plants have been documented in Atharva Veda, Rig Veda, Shushruta Samati, not only in Indian literature, but also in Egyptian literatures and in different herbology books on Chinese herbology books. We also find the documentation of the medicinal plants for the treatment of various types of disease. Now, coming to the early modern period, that is during the 15th and the 16th century, the medicinal plants became popular in the European and the American countries. And in the modern times, that is during the 19th and the 20th century, chemical analysis brought a new dimension in the study of medicinal plants. Alkaloids were isolated from a succession of medicinal plants, starting from morphine, then followed by strychnus, quinine, and many others. Now, as chemistry progressed, additional classes of pharmacologically active substances were also discovered in medicinal plants. Commercial extraction of purified alkaloids was an important event. Around the end of 19th century, what we find was like whole plants were dried and alkaloids and glycosides purified from the plant materials started to be preferred. And this drug discovery from plants continued to be an important landmark in the 20th as well as in the 21st century, and several anti-cancerous drugs which from plant origin are very important. Now, what are medicinal plants? Medicinal plant is any plant in which one or more of its organs contain substances that can be used for therapeutic purposes, or which are precursors for some chemical compounds which are in pharmaceutical industries, which are used in pharmaceutical industries. Now, medicinal plants, just like other general plants, though their uses are known by people, and people has been handling these plants from, as we have seen, from ancient times. Active compounds produced during the secondary metabolism are usually responsible for the biological properties of plant species used throughout the globe for various purposes, including treatment of infectious diseases. The curative properties of drugs are due to the presence of complex chemical substances, which are the secondary plant metabolites in one or more parts of these plants which are formed. Now, the plant metabolites these plant metabolites, according to their composition, they can be either alkaloids, glycosides, steroids, flavonoids, etc. Now, alkaloids, they form the largest group, which includes morphine, strychnine, brucine, quinine, and so on. Glycosides, again, they are represented by digoxin, barbolin, etc. Corticosteroids have come from diosgenin, and now they are very popular in case of medicinal plants, and they are being exploited in various ways. Also, some essential oils such as valerian, kutch, and peppermint are also possess certain medicinal properties and are used in the pharmaceutical industries. Now, these medicinal plants, they normally act as synergic medicines, or they support the official medicines, or they can act as preventive medicines. So in different ways, what we can see, the extracts or the phytochemicals from the medicinal plant, they have an important role in the therapeutics. So, excuse me. Now, coming to the importance of the medicinal plants, which are very common, like aloe, tulsi, neem, turmeric, ginger, they cure several common diseases. These are considered as home remedies in many parts of the country. It is a known fact that lots of consumers, like we use basil or tulsi for making medicine, we use them in pujas. So it is associated, these medicinal plants are associated in different religious and other different ceremonies through ages. Now, after finding the role of herbs in medicine, lots of consumers started the plantation of tulsi and other medicinal plants in their home gardens. Now, medicinal plants are considered as a rich resource of ingredients which can be used in drug development, either pharmacopoeial or non-pharmacopoeial or synthetic drugs. Apart from that, these plants play a critical development of human cultures around the whole world. Moreover, some plants are considered as important source of nutrition, and as a result of that, they are recommended for their therapeutic values. Some of these plants include, like we are very much associated with these names like ginger, walnuts, aloe, turmeric, pepper, and so on. Now, apart from the medicinal uses, these are also used as natural dyes, pest control, food, perfume, tea, and so on. So in many countries, different kinds of medicinal plants or herbs are used to keep different types of insects or flies, mice, etc. away from homes and offices. Nowadays, medicinal herbs are important source of pharmaceutical manufacturing. Recipes for the treatment of common diseases such as diarrhea, hypertension, dysentery, etc., fever, very common one, are given by the traditional medicine practitioners very effectively. Now, coming to the cultivation, especially I'll emphasize the cultivation which is carried out in West Bengal. Now, despite the rich heritage of knowledge on the use of plant drugs, little attention has been paid to grow them as field crops in the country till the latter part of 19th century. Commercial demand of pharmacopoeial drugs and products in the country are increasing. Thus, efforts were made to introduce many of these drug plants into Indian agriculture, and studies on the cultivation practices were undertaken for those plants which were found suitable and remunerative for commercial cultivation. In general, agronomic practices for growing like poppy, cinchona, belladonna, and a few others have been developed, and there are now localized cultivation of these medicinal plants commercially. West Bengal harbors a wide range of medicinal and aromatic plants which are used in 6 systems of Indian medicine, that is Ayurveda, Siddha, Unani, Homeopathy, Folk, and Soarikpa. The National Medicinal Plant Board and West Bengal State Medicinal Plant Board has recommended 32 prioritized medicinal plant species and 5 aromatic medicinal plant species for the cultivation in West Bengal, which are usually used in Indian system of medicine and homeopathy. Success in cultivation of some of the and can be or have been cultivated for contract farming in West Bengal. I have provided them in a tabular form. Here we can see have been chosen, and they are widely cultivated, and they have immense importance in treatment of different diseases, very common. We all know about these plants. Now these plants are very important from the medicinal point of view. Not only that, this 12 plants were also very suitable for commercialization, and the West Bengal State Medicinal Plant Board have listed these, given these 12 plants so that they can be commercialized in West Bengal. They can be cultivated and commercialized in West Bengal. Now, West Bengal State Medicinal Plant Board has also formulated district-wise suitability for cultivation of certain medicinal plants, and this is done quite, I'll say, like quite nicely. If we go to their site, we'll see district-wise, the board has designated the plants which can be cultivated suitably. Now, coming to the uses of medicinal plants. Now, plant drugs, we know medicinal plants, obviously, they will be yielding drugs, and these drugs can be of various types, and they have shown their effects in different treatment of different diseases. Like if we go like herbs such as black pepper rather, cinnamon, sandalwood, ginseng, wounds, sores, boils. Again, plants like basil, fennel, they have some important these are the important herbs which can be, normally we grow them in our homes, and they are easy to grow. These herbs look good, taste and smell good, and they attracts bees and butterflies, so they are aesthetically also important. Many herbs are used as blood purifiers to alter or change a long-standing condition by eliminating the metabolic toxins. These are also called blood cleansers. Certain herbs improve the immunity of person, thereby reducing conditions such as fever. Some herbs are also having antibiotic properties, like turmeric, which is well known. It is useful in inhibiting the growth of germs, harmful microbes, bacteria, and so on. It also shows good result in healing of cuts and wounds. To reduce fever and caused by the condition, certain antipyretic herbs such as chirata, a very well-known one, sandalwood, safflower, they are recommended by traditional Indian medicine practitioners. Sandalwood and cinnamon are great astringents apart from being aromatic. Some herbs are also used to neutralize the acid produced by the stomach. Herbs such as marshmallow root, leaf, they serve as antacids. The healthy gastric acid needed for proper digestion is retained by such herbs, which is very noteworthy. Now, if we go for the saints, Indian saints, we know, they were known to have remedies from plants which act against poisons from animals and snake bites. Herbs like cardamom, coriander, they are renowned for their appetizing qualities. There are also other aromatic herbs such as peppermint, cloves, turmeric, which add aroma to the food, thereby increasing their taste and meal. Some herbs like aloe, sandalwood, turmeric, they are commonly used as antiseptic and very high in their medicinal values. Ginger and cloves are used in certain cup soups. Eucalyptus, cardamom are also used as expectorants. Herbs like ajwain, basil, cardamom, fennel, peppermint, turmeric, they are helpful in the promotion of good blood circulation, therefore used as cardiac stimulants. Certain herbal medicines or medicinal herbs have disinfectant property which destroys diseases causing germs. Herbal medicines practitioners recommended Calmative herbs, which provide a soothing effect to the body, they are often used as sedatives. Certain aromatic plants like aloe, barberry, chirata are used as mild tonics. Certain herbs are used as stimulants to increase the activity of a system or organ, for example, camphor, etc. A wide variety of herbs, including aloe, barberry, are used as tonics. They are also nutritive and rejuvenate a healthy as well as diseased individual. Again, honey, turmeric, they are termed as vulnerary herbs. Another important or rather a very challenging aspect of medicinal plant are nutraceuticals. Now these nutraceuticals are medicinally or nutritionally functional foods which are also known as medicinal foods. Nutritional supplements, they are known also known as nutritional supplements. Now this term, that is nutraceutical, was first coined by Stephen de Felice in 1989, and it was defined as a food or part of food that provide medical or health benefits, including the prevention and treatment of disease. It is a plant-based diet which contains numerous non-nutritive phytoconstituent which plays an important role in health enhancement. Medicinal plants are used as traditional herbal nutraceuticals. And we can also see like medicinal plants which are used as edibles or as pesticides, as they are without any side effects. Now, traditionally, medicinal plants has been used in different forms, such as powdered forms, pills, infusion, decoction, ointments. Powdered forms, these are very common, where the in plant species it is dried and this is grounded to form powder. In case of pills, these finely powdered drugs are converted into pills with the help of excipient. Infusion is when these powdered forms are, they are actually when boiling water is added to the species and it is kept for about 5 minutes and then filtered, then the filtered product is called the infusion. Decoction differs from infusion is that in this case cold water is added to the crushed plant species and it is kept for half an hour and then heated over a light under light temperature for about half an hour, and then it is filtered and the filtered product is called the decoction. And in case of ointment, normally this powdered drug, normally to this powdered drug, certain excipient substances like lanolin or Vaseline, these are normally added to convert it into a oily matter so that it can be applied as an ointment. Now, as we know, like we have seen like medicinal plants, they have been used in the treatment of various kinds of diseases, but very specifically I would like to discuss about these three deadly diseases, almost incurable, and throughout the globe they have always been a matter of concern. So one is cancer, where we find like Taxol analogs, Vinca alkaloids, they have shown they act via regulating molecular pathways which are related to the growth and cancer progression. Now these phytochemicals, they act by increasing the antioxidant status, carcinogen inactivation, inhibiting proliferation, induction of cell cycle arrest and apoptosis, and the regulation of the immune system. So by various ways they actually help in the regulating the cancer cells, thereby acting as therapeutics for cancer. Again, in case of HIV, it has been reported that about 75% of the people suffering from AIDS, especially in the European countries and African countries, depend on this traditional or alternative medicine. Where the organic extracts of the flower like Calendula officinalis, they possess anti-HIV properties. Again, Calophyllum langigerum has been found to inhibit the cytopathic effect of in vitro HIV infection. Recently, we are under the stress of COVID-19, and what we see is like researchers have shown that the properties of ashwagandha, that is Withania somnifera, it can target the main SARS-CoV-2 enzyme for splitting proteins known as main protease, that is MPRO, and that plays a key role in mediating the viral replication. Compounds called Vidanone from ashwagandha were used along with an active ingredient of propolis, which is actually obtained from the bees. It is a mixture of resin, wax, etc., called caffeic acid